7.5 part 1 is solving rational equations. So this time we have an equal sign and we are going to get answers like x equals something else. So before we were simplifying, multiplying, dividing, adding, subtracting, and we were getting a simplified answer. Now we are going to solve and get x equals something. If we have fraction equals fraction, when you have fraction equals fraction, the method for solving is cross multiply. Now, some of you are going to love this because you try to cross multiply all the time. The only time in math that you can actually cross multiply is when you have fraction equals fraction. So we have fraction equals fraction, we are going to cross multiply. So we will do 2 times x equals x squared minus x times 1. So that would be 1 times x squared minus x. The biggest thing I want you to realize with cross multiplication is that when you see a plus or a minus in the numerator or the denominator, you need to put parentheses around those to protect that entire numerator or denominator so that when you cross multiply, you remember to distribute. In this one, it's not really that big of a deal, but in the next one, it will be a big deal. So 2x equals x squared minus x. Sometimes this is going to result in a super easy problem to solve. Sometimes you're going to see x squared and x, and you'll know, oh, hey, x squared and x, that means I need to get 0 on one side and factor and solve. So when you have x squared and x in the same problem, you need to get 0 on one side so that you can factor and solve. So I'm going to subtract 2x on both sides to get 0 equals x squared minus 3x. Okay, now to factor that, this is only 2 terms, so what do they have in common? They have x in common. And that means that my solutions are 0 and 3. If we put a 0 right here, 0 times anything would be 0. If we put a 3 inside those parentheses, 3 minus 3 would be 0, and then 0 times whatever the other x was would be 0. When you have rational equations, when you have fractions, you have to think about what would make the bottom equal 0. So we need to go back to the original problem. If I plug 0 in here, 0 squared minus 0 is 0. Put a 0 here, that's definitely 0. So that answer is bad. That is an extraneous solution. If we put 3 in, 3 squared is 9. 9 minus 3 is not 0. If we put a 3 right here, not 0. So 3 is fine. Our final answer would be x equals 3. 0 would be the extraneous solution. In number 2, the parentheses are incredibly important. Anytime you see addition or subtraction in the numerator or denominator, protect that numerator or denominator with parentheses. Then when we cross multiply, we've got 6 times the quantity x minus 2 equals x minus 2 times x minus 1. Okay, oops, sorry. We need to, oh my gosh. We need to distribute, double distribute, simplify, whatever. So here we've got 6x minus 12, and we need to double distribute x squared minus 1x minus 2x plus 2. Okay, I'm going to combine my like terms. I have x squared and x, which means we need to get 0 on one side so that we can factor and solve. So we'll be subtracting 6x on both sides. We'll be adding 12 on both sides. That gives us 0 equals x squared minus 9x plus 14. We need to factor. We're looking for 2 numbers that multiply to give us 14 and add up to negative 9. If they're adding up to a negative and multiplying to a positive, that means they're both negative. So negative 2 and negative 7. So x minus 2, x minus 7. So I just realized, nope, I lost that parenthesis. Okay. This means our solutions are positive 2 and positive 7. Check both of those solutions in your original problem. If I plugged in 2 here, 2 minus 1, not 0. If I plugged 7 in, 7 minus 1, not 0. So in this case, both of our answers are going to work because both of our answers do not create 0 in the denominator. And that is basically it. Some of the problems on your assignment are going to be much simpler than this. Some of them are going to be like you cross multiply and you end up with like a two-step equation, no factoring necessary. Some of them are going to involve factoring and solving. I believe I made your assignment only like 4 problems, so get to it, get it done.